Hello and welcome. Now we need to be able to make our course slider slide. So let's work on that with some keyframe animations. We'll head into courseslider.scss and just head to the bottom of the file. We'll define our keyframe animations. So after everything here, we're going to write at keyframes and we'll call it slide out. Inside of here, we set a percentage, so at 0%. And this will make a little more sense as we put it in. This percentage has to do with the time this animation will take. So we have 0%, the opacity at this point should be 1, which is full opacity, and the transform, translate X should be 0. Okay, now after that, we're going to go to 100%, and we'll set up what's happening there. We'll need the same two variables, well, the same two properties, the opacity and the transform. So the opacity here will be 0, so completely see-through, and the transform translate X can go to negative 100%, so pretty much off the page there. Now we have this animation. Now we need to get it into one of our components. So we're going to make right here after container. So we're on the first level here, which means we're course slider end, and what we'll write is underscore underscore slide out. Give it the animation name, and we called it slide out. And we need to give it the animation duration. And we'll do 0.2 seconds. Now we have this slide out, and we could hook it up to one of our components. So let's do that right now so we could see it in action. We'll head down to where active list is. That's right here. And we're going to put that animation on this. So we'll have our course slider. And I think we called it slide out. And save that up. Now I'm going to run my yarn run SCSS so that all of this works here. So we'll just save this as well. Cool, and let's try to see it in action by reloading the page. Boom, there it is. So when we reload the page, I'll change the time of it so we really have time to see it. That was way too fast. Well, let's make it 2 seconds. We can really see it happen. And there it goes, sliding off the page. So that's the animation we want for everything to leave. You can see it slide off the page and its opacity changed to nothing. So let's hook this up right away to one of our buttons so we could see it in action. We'll head back into courseslider.js over here. All the way on the top, we could do this right after the course count. I'm going to make another const, another useState variable here, and it's going to be a course slider animate, and then set course slider animate. And we'll set that equal to a useState, and that will be the initial state of the course slider. So we'll want its regular value, which is just course-slider underscore underscore courses. And we could change this, we could trigger this to add the animation to it as well by using our useState here, our set course slider animate. So now this is a variable that we can use right here next to active list. Let's get that out of the way too. So we will have it right here. Open up some curly braces, pop that in, and we should still be good here. Yes, everything looks exactly the same because nothing really changed. We just took the animation off and we're holding the name of the class name in a variable at the top in our useState so that we can change it. So we have two variables that we're working with, the course count, which starts at 0, and the course slider animate, which starts at course slider courses. Now, when we press forward, we want the course count to go up. So it would go from 0 to however many courses are on the page so that we get through those courses and go to the next one. So let's make a function for that. Here's our function. Let's make it a const called change course count. Change course count. It'll take in E, which is the event. First we write e.stop propagation. Very important that we do that first. And now we want to change the class here. So let's set course slider animate. And what we want is what's already inside of it, which is right here. So I'm just going to copy it down. So course slider courses. And then we want course slider, but not courses. This will be slide out. Now that we have those two here in our change course count function, we could trigger this function from the forward arrow that we have, the FA arrow right, which is really our forward arrow. So right here, we won't only have a class name, we will have a onClick property, and the onClick is going to be that function. We'll pass in E, and we'll fat arrow to change course count, and we'll pass in E. So now let's click that button and see if we can get it running. There it goes, looking great. Very cool. This is working really well so far. And now let's make this a little more functional, where we actually change what's on the page after the animation. In our course change course count, we're going to do exactly that. We're going to change the course count after the slide out. So what I'd like to do is use a timeout to do this. So right here, we'll do a set timeout. And inside of our set timeout, we will have a anonymous function, and we'll get to work inside of there. We want to set course count, and that will be equal to course, let me make sure I open this up. Now course count will be added to, well, show courses will be added to the course count. And remember, we did this in the last lesson. This is how many courses that we're showing, and the course count is where we're starting. So we're starting at the first course, which is 0. And now if there are 3 on the screen, we want to add 3 to that in order to get us to the next courses there. So that's how we're going to do it. Let's just set our timeout first over here and then see it in action. So let's give it about 200 milliseconds. Let's do 150 till we get the change. Let's see what we got there. There we go. We can actually see the courses change as we did that, and there we are with our next course. So now we need to line this up a little bit, because I have this going at 150, and this is taking several seconds to work now, 2 of them. I'm going to put this at 0.2 seconds again, see what that looks like. Let me restart you. That doesn't look bad. Okay, very cool. Look at that one more time. Yeah, that doesn't look bad at all. Of course, we could change it so that they overlap if you'd like that, and you could take a look at it. I kind of want to make it look like it's going quickly and the next one's coming in right away, so I'm not going to make them overlap too much. But we also need to slide in these next courses. So let's work on that next. We have our keyframe slide out. So let's make another one. It'll be called, oh, I'm still inside of it. Make another one called at keyframes slide in. Inside of there, we'll just do basically the same thing, but opposite. We'll put that in here, and we'll start at opacity 0, and then go to opacity 1, and we'll start at positive 100% and go to 0. Now let's make our animation over here. We have our slide out one. We could copy that down. We'll call this one slide in. Animation name will be slide in, and it will take 0.2 seconds. Now our slide in has to happen after our slide out has basically finished. So here, where we do our set course count, we're also going to set course slider animate. Let's grab that. Set course slider animate, and here we'll just change this one to in. And let's see that in action. There we are. That looks really good now. So we see they slide out to the left, and now our next one slides in from the right. Very cool. Now we want this to be able to go both ways. Right now this does nothing. So I'm going to define everything that's happening here as a forward action. So I'm going to pass in forward, and so if this is true, if this is a variable that's given, let's head down to where we're triggering this. So we'll have E passed in. We're also going to pass in true for forward because we want to go forward on this FA arrow right. Back up to our function, we're passing in forward, which will be true. So if forward question mark, we want to do this first piece here, which is the slide out. Now, if not, we'll want to do the slide out, and I'm going to call it slide out right, so slide the opposite direction, meaning we're going backwards. So we'll say slide out dash right, and let me make an animation for that. We have our slide out, slide in, and we can go ahead and let's do it from scratch. These animations are new, at least to a lot of people following the video, so I'd like to just do it from scratch here. So slide in right, we'll call this one. So at 0%, we'll do the opacity at 0, and we'll do the transform, -0. We'll do the transform translate X to -100%. And now we'll do our slide out right, which is going to just be the opposite. So we'll take that, and the opacity will be 1, and this will be 0, because it'll be where it's supposed to be without any transform at all. And the quick name change right here, slide out right. Let's make these animations into something right over here. So we'll have and slide out dash right animation name will be slide out right. Animation duration will be the same 0.2 seconds. Oh, and I should do the underscores. Cool. And now we have the same thing happening one more time with the slide in right. Slide in right. And 0.2 seconds. All right, so we have those set up. Let's go to our course slider and actually put them in here. So we'll define everything in the set timeout as if and forward. So if we're going forward, we want to do what we wrote already, right up to here, basically. Else, we're going to set course count to the opposite. So it'll be the course count minus show courses. So that'll take you down in the opposite direction. And let me make sure I open up my curly braces around this because I do want to do one more thing in here. That next one will be, and now it looks a bit better. So we will set the course slider animate here as well. Set course slider animate. And we'll take this one and we'll change it to slide in dash dash right. No, it shouldn't be dash dash, just dash right. Pretty sure that's how we did it. Just dash right. Okay. So we have our slide out dash right and slide in dash right. All right, let's hook this up to, well, let's hook the back button up to this function as well. This is change course count as a function. Now our back button will be below this, right here where we have the FA arrow left. That's our back button. Inside that div, we'll set up our on click. So on click here, and that will equal, put up your braces. We could put E in there, do our fat arrow function, and all that'll happen there is change course count and all it's going to take in is E, because this is going backward, not forward, and passing in true down here means it's going forward, so passing nothing here would be undefined, which evaluates to a truthy value of false. Truthy-falsy value of false. So this will basically say forward, false. So this knows to go backward. And we can save that, and let's see if this is working. That was a lot of code, so we're just gonna cross our fingers and see if we go both ways here. There we are going forward. Here we are going backwards. That wasn't as pretty. I think we did something wrong. Let me see one more time. Yeah, we definitely did something wrong. Let's take a look and fix it. This looks fine. Let's go into here. Oh, that looks like a mistake right away. Okay, right here, this isn't finished. let's finish this up. I get ahead of myself sometimes when we're doing a lot of typing. I want to see it in action, and you make silly mistakes. And everyone does them, so if you make mistakes, that's just fine. So we want to transform translate x to 0 here, and when we're sliding out, when we reach 100%, we'll take the opacity down to 0, and transform translate x here to 100%. We'll save that up and see if that fixes that problem we were just having. Oh boy, that's so much better. Okay, great. That was a pretty easy fix too, but it's kind of a lesson. Don't type too much code if you don't have to. Try to test everything as you go along. This looks so good now, and it's working so well, but we have a few more things to do. On the end of the list, we're going to have just one slide that takes you to see more courses, something like that, where you could see all of the courses rather than just the top courses. And we're going to get rid of the back button when we have nothing before it. So when we're at 0, the back button needs to go away. And when we're already done with the list, the forward button needs to go away, because then we get a list of nothing and the formatting is weird. So we don't want any of that to happen. We'll work on that, and we will also write our first React hook that keeps track of the width of the page here and lets us change how many of these top courses we want to show. So follow me along to that one, and we can get started on that. I'll see you there.